So you might have heard that the hot new Hulk movie rumor is that there are hot new Hulk movie rumors, i.e. Marvel Studios finally worked out some kind of deal with Universal Pictures that'll let them make solo Incredible Hulk movies instead of only team-ups, that they're supposedly going to get right on that, spinning out of whatever becomes of Mark Ruffalo's already announced supporting role in the She-Hulk series on Disney Plus in 2022. Or they're just going to spend whatever money Universal's asking. And the movie that the internet, which is never ever wrong, thinks they're going to make is called World War Hulk. World War Hulk was a 2008 event series serving as the sequel to both Civil War and Planet Hulk, wherein Hulk returns from being exiled to outer space with an army of alien followers who worship him like a god and, as the title implies, declares war on the Marvel Universe for kicking him off the planet several crossovers earlier. Now, since the whole Hulk going off world storyline already played out much differently in the MCU than it did in the comics, it feels kind of unlikely that they're gonna shoot Bruce Banner into space again just to give it a do-over. The easiest prediction you could make, therefore, about any hypothetical World War Hulk movie is that it would mainly keep that so dumb yet so awesome title, and as was the case with Age of Ultron and Civil War before, use it to tell mostly a brand new story. But what kind of story? Well, She-Hulk is supposedly introducing or reintroducing a bunch of other gamma-irradiated or otherwise Hulk-style monster characters along with Cousin Jennifer herself. We already knew about Bruce showing up and the Abomination coming back before he did his cameo in Shang-Chi. Jamila Jamil is playing Titania because apparently someone at Marvel is trying to kill me via dehydration, goddamn. And there's rumors of characters like the Wrecking Crew and the Hulk's son Scar showing up, and I wouldn't be shocked if we see implications or even full-on appearances by the Red Hulk, whose identity they might try to keep secret at first like they did in the comics, but it's someone we already know. Amadeus Cho, the teenage Korean-American Hulk, maybe even Bruce slipping into his alternate gray-skinned Joe Fixit the Gangster Hulk persona. Look, point being, She-Hulk is supposedly more of a comedy legal show that happens to involve superheroes, but if its storyline is also introducing a bunch of hulked-up characters suddenly active in the MCU, maybe as a result of whatever legal stuff she's initially involved in litigating, then maybe World War Hulk is going to mean a movie where all the Hulks are gonna fight each other, a war all over the world between Hulks. Or maybe the world declares war on the Hulks and they all team up to fight against humanity, or a specific army, or the Avengers, or that team of morally questionable versions of the Avengers that Julia Louis-Dreyfus is totally not assembling in the post-credit scenes of the espionage movies and shows over the last year and a half. So, it could be that, and that sounds, kind of awesome, right? Like almost a perfect, well-duh pitch for a Hulk/She-Hulk sequel, practically a Marvel version of that famous Hollywood legend about James Cameron supposedly pitching sequel to Alien to the studio by writing the word alien on a blackboard, then adding an S, then making the S into a $sign. But it might also be something else. Marvel's slate is crazy full, there's a ton of other projects shooting, but apparently this one, a movie they might even have to revenue share with another studio that's sequelizing one of their lower performing one-offs from Phase 1, when the character has been selling just fine as a team player for over a decade, would be an odd priority shift, except a movie that starts production in 2022, especially one where a main character is in motion capture, which gives you a lot more production and schedule control, would be decently well set to lock for release in 2024. Now, 2024, not a super meaningful year for the Hulk, but it does happen to be another Marvel superhero's 50th birthday. Yup, Wolverine turns 50 in 2024, and in specific context, that's the 50th anniversary of the character's first ever appearance, not as an X-Man, but in the pages of the Incredible Hulk. Kinda crazy, but remember, Planet Hulk and World War Hulk, not the only famous Marvel stories about the Hulk fighting everyone else. Before those, there was Future Imperfect, a 1992 time travel story in which the Hulk goes to a dystopian post-apocalyptic future to battle a supervillain dictator called the Maestro, who turns out to be himself much older, much stronger, now evil, and rocking a big old Santa Claus beard. Classy. Then in 2008, another evil future version of the Hulk was the villain of another Marvel post-apocalypse story, Old Man Logan, which of course centered on an aging, ornery Wolverine as the hero and had easily the darkest evil Hulk ever. Like, damn, so dark they wouldn't have used any of that when they adapted that storyline into the Logan movie, even if they wanted to. Anyway, you can see where I'm going, right? In the comics, they've used time travel and other stuff to drag Old Man Logan versions of Wolverine into the regular timeline a few times in what was transparently water testing to get people on board for the idea of letting one of the only actors anyone really wants to see come back from the Fox X-Men movies in some form do so in the MCU. Regardless of what happens with the rest of the mutant characters, it's been heavily rumored they've tried a few times to get Hugh Jackman to put his claws back on, and he said no so far, but if and when he does, yeah, I think it's a safe bet that he'd end up doing so as a version of Old Man Logan, partly because everyone pretty much agrees Logan was the best movie he did as the character, partly because, unlike Wolverine, Jackman is in fact aging like a normal human, and partly just being some guy from the future means this Wolverine can exist without needing an official younger MCU version or any X-Men stuff to have been established in the present yet. And so, since the connection exists twice over between Wolverine's debut in the original Hulk comics and a different future Hulk being an enemy in Old Man Logan, it makes almost cosmic sense that if this entirely hypothetical World War Hulk movie was to actually be a version of Future Imperfect where Banner goes time traveling to fight the Maestro, or the Maestro travels back to his present at the end and Future Imperfect is part 3 maybe? That maybe Hugh Jackman combs the Just for Men out of his whiskers, straps on his claws, and jumps in front of the MCU cameras at least one more time to give the fans a gift on Wolverine's birthday. I'm Bob, and that's the big guess.